Hey, welcome back to Heroes and Videos, where we talk about all things comic book related and movies about comic books, and sometimes just movies, but mostly comic books. Today we've got an awesome show. I'm going to be talking some X-Men, the Ultimates, some Iron Fist in there. May have a little bit of DCKO action, and of course the Amazing Spider-Man. But the big finale, the big thing here at the end of the show is I will be doing an unbagging of my Ultimates Endgame #1. Little quick brief spoiler there for that, so stick around to the end to see that. As always, would love to have you subscribe to the channel. All kinds of cool things are coming up. We've got some, trailers are out with Avatar for the new Avengers Doomsday film this year. Some great stuff coming up. Wonder Man is streaming at the end of January. If you've seen the latest trailer, it looks really good. Super excited. Anything with Ben Kingsley in it, or Trevor Slattery, is just looks like it's going to be phenomenal. I'm really excited to see that, and hopefully we'll be doing some review shows. Been really slack on the videos part of Heroes and Videos lately, so I do apologize for that. But today, let's get into talking about some of these new comics. First up is the Ultimates, #19. This, like most of the Ultimate Universe with Marvel, is rapidly heading towards a conclusion. It wasn't that thrilled with what's going on with the cover character here, the Wasp, in this issue. I don't feel like they stuck that landing, but it's been a really good book. Hickman is just doing phenomenal work. I should check because he hasn't been doing all those. I take that back. Hickman hasn't done probably the last half a dozen issues or so of this book, but it's a really good book, and it's looking at some big world concepts about how you would do a movement, to overthrow the Maker, who is in the Ultimate Universe, of course, evil Reed Richards, and has taken over or created this world that didn't have heroes, and how heroes are fighting back. But it's also a neat little allegory of how to organize, and how, on a bigger scale. It's got some of those big issues, big issues, not like comic book issues, but big issues about how you can scale up kind of a revolution. It's pretty neat. It's a good book. Got a variant cover for that too, which is kind of old school Nick Fury, who is, I guess the Nick Fury in the Ultimate Universe is old school. I hate to say that, apologies, Nick, but David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury. So, but I thought that was a cool cover, so I grabbed that. He's the head of the Hand, I think is what it's called in that universe, as opposed to S.H.I.E.L.D. But it's a good book, and things are rapidly coming to a conclusion. We'll talk about that more when we get to Ultimate Endgame #1 at the end of the show. Another event of Marvel's that is coming to an end was the recent Age of Revelation. This was an awesome variant cover. You can tell, I guess I like variant covers. I thought this was really neat. My son showed me. All right, so spoiler for the next 30 seconds to a minute around the Avengers Doomsday trailers. I can't imagine you've got this far into YouTube and you haven't seen thumbnails for spoilers for what I'm about to say, but and I haven't seen any of those trailers, but let's just say one of them might involve a certain Scott Summers. And so I just thought this was interesting because my son showed me or told me about a clip he'd seen or something he'd seen online about spoiling that third X-Men trailer, and that it involved Scott Summers. So now we're done with the spoilers for that, so you can come back. I think it's been about 30 seconds. But this I thought was interesting that this came out about the same time as that. Love this cover. I just think it's really neat. It's older, bearded Scott Summers there. Age of Revelation X-Men has been really fascinating in that it's kind of the flip of Days of Future Past, present day. Scott Summers and Hank McCoy, the Beast, their consciousnesses have been transported 10 years in the future, and there's been a mutant virus that hit and turned a lot of people into mutants, had some devastating effects for other parts of humanity, and it's really changed the face of the Marvel Universe, at least in the United States, at any rate, with what we've seen in terms of what territories are out there. Long story short, Doug Ramsey's character is called Revelation. Cypher, I think, was his old code name from the New Mutants. He is the heir of Apocalypse, and this story kind of wraps up what's been a really fun, like, Age of Apocalypse. The X titles went away for 3 or 4 months here, and they've shown us what these characters are like in this possible potential future, and it's not great. But I'll do a little bit more of a deep dive on some of those individual titles. I've read a little over half of them, I guess, and I've enjoyed the ones I have read. This wraps it up. Oh, and it includes even one of my favorite Cyclops moments, probably my second favorite Cyclops moment of all time, in one of the other books. This was really good. I'm not entirely crazy about how it wrapped up, because we're not really sure. Just like with Days of Future Past, we're not really sure if they've changed anything or not. It's just kind of like they say in that original Days of Future Past, like, the only time will tell if they've made a difference. It takes a bit of a swerve towards the end. It's something I did not see coming. Now I kind of want to go back and reread it to see if there were any clues there for this the twist that they do. So next up, we're going to be talking a little KO. This may have been an earlier KO battle. Honestly, don't know if this is part of the 16-8. I think it was. This is the issue of Flash. Haven't been reading Flash, but I picked them up during this, which I guess, kudos DC marketing for what you did there. I see what you did there. This is the Flash versus Green Lantern. It's not the Flash and Green Lantern we're used to. As you can see from the cover, it's Jay Garrick, very much leaning into his World War II soldier era in terms of how he's operating and behaving, and Guy Gardner there with the sword. This is round 6 of those books. So again, I think this is a little out of order. I think I've already done a video with 7 with Lex Luthor and the Demon, I think, and Harley and Zatanna, and I'm missing somebody else in there. Jason Todd and Joker. So this is kind of part of that same round where we're getting down to the 8 heroes. I really enjoyed this. This is one of the few that I was hoping this would. I guess the two that I've really loved were this one and the Hawkman Aquaman one, because it's kind of old school, even though they're not the characters that I grew up with as the main Flash and Green Lantern. It's just neat in that they know each other. They know they've got to go through this battle, and they may not like it, but they've got to do it, and somebody's got to win. So a good book, and the DC KO event is just rolling right along. Looking really forward to seeing how that pans out. Next up is one of my favorite characters, Iron Fist. This is Danny Rand, the undead Iron Fist. And it just as it says, he apparently is that. This is the last issue of this miniseries. I'm hoping it's going to lead to more Iron Fist stories. I'm really enjoying them. I'm not sure where they're going with the character after this, but yeah, just a great book. It takes me back to some of the fight scenes are like right out of the old the original Iron Fist book and Marvel Premiere. And even like Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, where it really helped. He names the move before he makes it. Like I don't know, undead monkey's tail or whatever. Sorry, I just threw that together off the top of my head. But it'll be just like I don't know, like Thunder Elbow or whatever move is he's doing. It's got this cool name for it, and he says it in his head as he's doing it. Plus the artwork on those great battle issues, or those great Claremont Byrne Iron Fist issues, where and as well as Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, where they've just got some great art. Shang-Chi Master Kung Fu book was like this, with a lot of the Paul Gulacy stuff, where the battle scenes are really good and they flow like panel to panel. So I'm very impressed with that. We are rounding out the end here with Amazing Spider-Man. This is the Earth issue, if you will, if you've been following the channel and my somewhat covering what's going on in Amazing Spider-Man now. Peter is in space with Rocket, Raccoon, and any number of other new characters that are just great, and every issue reminding us of just how great a character Peter Parker is. Well, here on good old planet Earth in the Big Apple, somebody else is Spider-Man. And a little spoiler action coming up here, so pause or flip ahead or go read Spider-Man before that. But there's a great sequence in here between, where are they? There's a great sequence in here between Norman Osborn and J. Jonah Jameson. And if you haven't followed Spider-Man for a while, I've got a couple of shockers for you. One, J. Jonah Jameson knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man, which was a really bold move in the book a number of years ago, and frankly, I think it's paid off very well. The other interesting thing is that Norman Osborn is no longer evil, or is he? That they had a Sin Eater storyline a while back, and I don't know that I'm a great fan of how they did this, because the Sin Eater could literally take your sins or absolve you of what made you evil. So I don't know that that's a great thing from a character development standpoint, to just have this, not magic beans or whatever, that, this thing that, boom, makes you a good person. That feels weird to me, but nevertheless, that's what happened. And so Norman's been a good guy for a while, and become a pretty good confidant or close confidant of Pete's. And so fascinating dialogue between Norman Osborn and J. Jonah Jameson, two, I want to say they've been father figures for Peter Parker over the years, because they really haven't. I can't go there with the Gwen Stacy death thing, but it's just a great conversation, and I just love that this book's been taking a lot of heat, particularly the last volume. But now here we are at number 18, and if my eyes would focus, 982. So we're pretty much, I would say, halfway through this volume, because I expect they're leading up to issue 1000. Every 2 weeks we get every 2 weeks we get an issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Once a month we get to see Spider-Man with the wrist, the web shooters, and whatever that is on his feet, that he's got them on his ankles and his wrist. So we get Manhattan Spider-Man, who is not Pete, and we get on Earth, and we get Peter Parker once a month in space. But a new Spider-Man's out every 2 weeks, and I'm loving it. I'm digging it. It's really good. And even, like I say, the Peter part of that is my favorite. That's the space storyline is by far my favorite of those two storylines. But this is a close second, because, like I say, J. Jonah Jameson and Norman Osborn having a conversation about Peter Parker, and the fact that they are both somewhat mentors, and how much they both admire him. That's just really good stuff. So you should be reading that book if you're not. Last up, Ultimate Endgame 1. I know I said I'm doing an unbagging, and I am doing an unbagging here in just a moment. But I wanted to show you the cover that I chose to buy, the regular one, because of course it has my favorite character, Spider-Man, up at the top. So yeah, I thought this was neat. Haven't been reading Ultimate Wolverine, haven't been reading Ultimate Black Panther, sorry guys, but I have been reading Ultimate Spider-Man, which continues to rock. This story is great, and it's, again, I keep getting back to that. Just like a great Superman story shows you about what we love about Superman, the way he inspires hope in people, right? And doing the right thing. This story also has some great things in it about how to show just how much we love Peter Parker, or what a great character he is in terms of stepping up, or and even the joking and whatnot, but just doing what's right because it's right, and it's just really good. So, with no further ado, here we go. Ultimate Endgame number 1. Again, I've read the story. I enjoyed it very much. We're going to see. I'm going to pop this bad boy open, and we're going to see what cover I got. It sounds like there's some controversy about some of the books having spine ticks or whatever. I don't care about that. I mean, I'm enjoying the comic book. I'm not grading this, selling it, whatever. So you guys are going to get to see it before I do. Ultimate Endgame. At the back it tells me Ultimate Endgame number 1 is December, 2 is in February, 3 and 4 is in March, and April number 5. That sounds more like a slow walk to an endgame. So let's see, what did I get? Oh, okay. I guess the cover's inside this cover thing? That's odd. Huh. So it talks about the end of the Ultimate Universe. Basically what looks like an advertisement. So I still don't know what cover I got. Oh, wow. This is just the folder for the cover. So what I got, oh, that's very cool. I got Ultimate Endgame Variant Edition. I don't know who did this cover, but it's got Captain America, Thor, Wolverine, Black Panther, Storm. I'm guessing it's some of these. I think that's maybe X-Men because I think her name is Armor. Iron Lad in this universe, Doom. And over here, the bad guys. But I don't know who did the art for this. So that's very cool, though. Let me see if it gives me any clues inside. It does not. But here it is, folded out. So that's very cool. I will take that. I'd heard some folks at the local comic shop had said, whoops, sorry, Cap. Heard some folks at the local comic shop had said that they'd seen a lot of unbaggings that were basically that original cover, that which I didn't have. But that's cool. I like that. That's neat. It's different. Again, don't know the artist, but cool. Well, I'm pleased. So, and hopefully you all were pleased too with this episode of Heroes and Videos. Keep saying this week's, but I'm trying to drop more than one episode a week. Sorry, I've been a little slack on that. Again, Wonder Man coming out late January. Hope everybody had a happy new year. Rams Santa made it back up on the shelf. Rams and Panthers are playing in Charlotte next weekend in the playoffs. Go Rams. As always, keep going to see movies in theaters. Keep reading comics and be kind to each other.